Hi there. Welcome to A Creative Affair, a collection of conversations exploring creativity through the art of photography and other creative passions. I'm Brie. I'm a nature photographer living in Texas. I have a passion for learning, creating, completing goals, traveling, and relaxing with my family. Did that last week. When I met my husband, I didn't really enjoy trying new things. I mean, I was pretty young. But he's a real adventurer and has totally rubbed off on me. I have learned to do things I never would have dreamed of doing, like scuba diving. I'm actually learning to be very comfortable and more confident. And recently, I camped alone for the first time ever by myself. Did I say that by myself? By myself. Yep. It was great, and I felt pretty awesome. I impressed myself.
Fantastic. That's so impressive and such a wonderful thing. I'm Len, a visual artist with so many freedoms because I am lucky enough to make a living out of photography education rather than my art. This gives me a full artistic license to pursue creative photography without the need to pander to an audience and to sell my work. I don't have to think, is this going to sell or not? I tried being a commercial photographer for a moment or two, and it just didn't fit with who I am as a person. So I consider myself incredibly lucky. It's so exciting that you camped alone, Brie, and alone usually means by yourself. So I'm glad that you sorted that out for us, and I'm really
by
impressed.
Myself.
That's right. Do you know?
I've gone camping with other people.
No,
but alone is a different story, right?
I totally get it. Alone is amazing. Do you know? I remember the first time I was ever alone in the wilderness, and I mean in the wilderness. I was with a group of people, and the lone bit comes later, but we were rafting the Franklin River, and that's for us, it was about a 25-day trip in the wilderness on this river. And during the trip, we stopped at one spot, and my friends decided they wanted to hike up a mountain. I can't remember. I've forgotten. Frenchman's Cap. And actually stay up in the hut overnight. And I turned around to my buddies and said, no, I'm staying here by myself because I've never sat in the wilderness totally alone before. And that was my first experience to be totally alone with no one for many, many kilometres, and to feel that beautiful soul connection with the wilderness. So I totally get it. And I actually want to do some really long solo hikes one day, like, 20-day ones or 3-month ones. There's one that walks the full length of New Zealand, and I've got my hand up for that. And then maybe the Pacific Crest, isn't it called, or whatever it's called, the PA, that might be on my list as well, actually.
The Pacific Crest Trail, which is the PCT, and then there's the AT, which is the Appalachian Trail, and then there's one more. There's one more. I don't know them all.
Oh, there's lots, and they're all over the world. Yeah. Anyway, so today we're talking about social media. That's right. What a wonderful subject for us to get our teeth stuck into, and it's been one that just keeps surfacing up. That one that we need to address, because for some of us, and me included, it's caused anxiety and problems, and yet has brought incredible benefits, and learning to use it and become at ease with it has been a bit of a long journey.
Yeah, I totally get that. So, well, let's start by talking about what different platforms of social media currently there are. Maybe when this comes out, they don't even exist. They've all blown up. I don't know. Who knows what happens? And, in a few
There
weeks.
might be a new one too.
Right? Totally. So there's Facebook, I guess, which I've been on for a long time. But there's also TikTok. Is that a social media? Here's the thing. Is that a social media thing? I don't know.
Yes.
Are you
Yes,
on
it is.
TikTok?
No.
Me either. Okay. We can't talk about TikTok. You'll have to talk about it. Listeners, you have to talk about TikTok with your friends. We don't. I literally know nothing about it. So there's Instagram, which I know and love mostly. Twitter, which I'm recently on and I'm getting to know.
And
Tumblr.
one we should explore a bit further for having our discussions, isn't it? It's apparently very good for photography discussions.
Oh, Twitter?
Yeah.
You know, one thing we didn't list is Reddit. It's kind of a social media. People converse on there and chat. My husband's on Reddit, so people post questions and all kinds of things. So are you on Tumblr?
I was for a long time, and then I bailed from Tumblr when they changed their terms and conditions at one point. I used to be on. I used to be on Flickr, and in the early days, I used to have quite a large following and loved being on Flickr. And when they changed their terms and conditions, I panicked and deleted my account and lost that wonderful work that I'd done in a moment of panic and also false news. I listened to someone and I made a big mistake there, I think. But anyway, Flickr's still going, isn't it? And it's still there.
Yeah.
There's even a new one there called Glass, which has only just been launched very recently, and it's dedicated, like Flickr, to photography. Well, Instagram was originally too, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. My question is with Glass, is it, can you converse on there? Like, is it actual social media, or from what I understand, you're just posting?
People have discussions around the photographs and
okay.
they ask questions or they comment and you start commenting back, and then all of the discussions are under particular photographs. Actually, not too dissimilar to Instagram, except that the feed isn't done by an algorithm. It's done by a straight timeline of who you follow.
Like how it used to be in the good old days, in the old days of some of the others. I don't know. So I'm actually curious. Are you on Glass?
Yes, I am.
This one? Okay, yeah. I'll have to check it out. But if any of the listeners have, if you are more acquainted with Glass, send us an email. I'd love to hear your experiences. So it's, what is it? create@acreativeaffairpodcast.com. I'd love to hear, actually. If you're on some social media site and you have a comment, we'd love to hear from you.
I always see myself as a bit of an early adopter of these things, particularly the internet. And I actually lived in the Middle East for a period for a university lecturing in how to teach. And I spent a lot of time on social media and dating sites and all sorts of interesting places on the web. And I do want to mention I do want to mention one in particular that I joined, which was the Large Format Photography Forum. And, we maybe don't think of that as social media, but as a forum, it was incredibly helpful in my career as a photographer, or maybe career is the wrong word, but in my development. And I made a huge group of friends on there over time. And everything was around posts, like when you're talking about Reddit. Actually, I love the forum format software approach so much. I use it in my own teaching. So I have a forum at Lens School for my students. So it's actually based around questions and posts rather than around photographs in a sense, and your photographs come in it. But within the photography forum, this particular one, we did things like print swaps. We'd all post prints to one person and they'd repackage them and send you everyone else's work. And I've got this beautiful, huge collection of prints from there. And it was a very highly specialised. And in those days, there were less trolls and bullying. We were very, very supportive of each other. And through that, I actually made some wonderful friends, and it solved all my woes about large format photography and, developing film and setting up a darkroom and printing my own work and all those sort of things. So that was an incredibly special social media platform for me.
It sounds like part of what made it special was the community aspect. Like you are focused on, one aspect of art, large format film photography. And so you all kind of have that in common and you can talk and I think that's maybe what makes these kind of things like a forum or social media. It can make it really special because of the community that we can get from it. And I can think of one, I'm sure there are communities all over the place for all different kinds of art. I can think of one for photography, which is Nature Photographers Network, which is still going. Were you on that one, Len? Were you on that one? Nature?
I wasn't.
Okay. Yeah, so Nature Photographers Network has been around for a long time, and then it's kind of been revamped by David Kingham and Jennifer Renwick, a couple of really fantastic photographers, but they've taken it over and it's going. So any photographers, nature photographers, go check that one out. I encourage you. It's actually a nice forum. You can get feedback, which we're going to talk about feedback in an upcoming podcast episode, right?
Oh, I can't wait for that one.
Right, me too. I'm formulating, right? But that, and I think feedback actually goes a lot with, can go along with this social media. So we'll weave that in a little bit. But it's that community, right, where you can share and have people share with you and you can, discuss. And I think that's a really beautiful part of social media.
It's really fascinating that you pick that point up. It seems to be that the size of the community matters, and there is theories about how big a network that you can actually manage and hold as a group of friends. I'd actually have to look that up to get the numbers there. But the bigger the community and the more general it is, the harder it is to survive in it, and the more smaller it is and more specific and targeted that group is. And like a lot of social media have groups that are quite small and they're closed off, and in there is actually beautiful thriving communities, and they also exist on Instagram through hashtags too, don't they, as well?
But those are kind of open to the public.
Yes.
So yes, but I know on Facebook there are groups, there are private groups, and so that's a really amazing way to communicate with people. It seems like when you're more focused, you don't have. I think I lost my train of thought, but I think it because it brings you together for one purpose, and when you open up something to everyone, it ends up diluting what you're trying to talk about because you can't get very specific. Maybe that's part of it.
A common goal.
Yeah.
It's
sure.
really important that when you're working with people and supporting them, that the clearer the common goal, the easier it is to stay together and to stay focused. That's just a quite simple teamwork leadership sort of thing, isn't it? That staying focused is easier the more specific it is that we're the thing that we're working on or working towards. So I think that's a very natural thing, that the more specific the group is within, the easier it is.
Yeah. And one thing that I put on my social media today to prep for this I did a big Insta story with like multiple questions, and quite a few people answered these, which I find really fantastic. And so, one of the things that was mentioned over and over and over again was that sense of community, right? I asked the question. Well, one of the questions I asked, we'll talk about some other ones, was what do you like or dislike about the social media platforms that you use? And someone says, I love the connection I've made with other photographers. I mean, that's my community, right? As photographers. This person says, I met some incredible people where we all have something in common we are passionate about no matter what our background is from. And that's exactly what we're talking about. That's what brings us together. And that's what makes this social media so amazing, because like you can have a quick conversation. I do this all the time. Have a quick direct message conversation with someone in the Netherlands, which I did today, or I could do it with you in Australia, or someone in Oregon. I mean, it really is a fantastic and amazing thing.
And when in doing that little conversation, there's so much intrinsic reward, isn't it, of helping someone or being helped from a stranger's beautiful kindness. And it could not even just be in a supportive manner, or it could be around a technical thing, or there's so many different ways to do that. But we get so much from that helping and supporting each other, don't we, intrinsically as human beings, I believe.
Right. Now, I do have to say, I know someone that has quite a lot of followers, and if they post something on their Insta story, probably going to talk about Instagram a lot because that's what I've been on Facebook, but most recently I've been on Instagram. And this person has mentioned how they get these direct messages with people saying terrible things. And so there is that aspect. If you, once your audience kind of gets wider and you open yourself up as a public person to being known by so many people, I can't imagine people who have like millions of followers, right? What kind of direct messages? Maybe they just don't even accept direct messages, right? But there can be a lot of negativity within the social media too. So there is kind of this one side where we have this, where we can be supportive and positive and build each other up. And I can send someone a direct message today, and say how much I love their work. I put someone's work on my Insta story today, and a beautiful project that he did, and shared 3 images. And I think he's a wonderful cheerleader for the community. And so, I want to share that too. I want to be an example of that too.
It can be a fascinating two-edged sword, can't it? That it can be incredibly supportive. It can be a wonderful way to feel loved and to express ourselves, but it can have these negative effects, and I think that's only just scratching the iceberg. Having people write to you with saying terrible things. There's so many other dangers involved in it, isn't there? It's quite a scary world, and there's also the glamorous side, isn't it? That maybe attracts some people into there wanting to be Insta famous, as they say, and have that glamorous lifestyle that a public figure appears to have, and we know that's actually not true.
Is that even like, I look at those and I'm like, is that fake? Is that even real? Like, tell me what real life is, right? But also it works with art too, that what we see may not be even real, or people are just putting out images that they think so many people so many people with likes. I mean, one of the things that we wanted to talk about a little bit or touch on was the algorithm. That's some of the comments that I got from listeners was, and I'm calling them listeners. They were my friends. I hope they're listening too. So one of my friends said, that he really dislikes that everything we consume on social media has been selected by an algorithm that some company has spent billions of dollars on to keep us scrolling so they can make more ad money. So it kind of benefits those people who were making art that fits some sort of like special Insta famous box, right? So if you do that, then you can get more likes and more followers. And I mean, I have some things to say about that too, but it might, you might not be even, these people might not even be really creating the art that speaks to them.
That's incredibly scary, isn't it? That actually that advertising and revenue drives the algorithm to sell more and more product as we go through. And this is fascinating, Brie, because John Berger even talks about this in Ways of Seeing in a book in the 70s about how mass media is going to change the way that we consume art. And what we're seeing today, and some of his words are amazing foresight for the time, for something that hadn't even come about yet, that we're seeing today, that do we want an algorithm to curate our art galleries of the future? And Instagram and these social medias are the current art galleries and are dictating what is seen as being popular at the moment, not to everybody, but to perhaps the masses. And I don't, to the people that go there. And one of the biggest things that's missing out of this is active curation, isn't it? The works aren't being curated.
Right.
Well, they're being curated by an algorithm for money reasons. They are being curated. Sorry.
Well, that I feel a little bit sad about it because I know that there are people that I follow on Instagram that I'm not seeing all their work. So sometimes I will actually go on and say, "Oh, I miss seeing this person's work," and go on and find I've missed 4 posts and they're all interesting. They have something interesting to say. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to spend some time now and, sit with all of this and respond, because that's how I like to do social media. Talking about curation, one of our listeners said, because I asked, what is something good you've experienced because of social media? And this person said that they've realized, this person says, I've realized I enjoy experiencing photography on artists' websites rather than on their Instagram accounts. I mean, this is kind of about curation, right? This person says, I enjoy the long form experience. Some artists even have longer write-ups or blogs. I know someone who does a voice or there's a couple people who just do voice memo, right? A little recording to go with it. Let's see, where did I leave off? Some artists even have longer write-ups or blogs where I can read more than what I can in the scroll style format like Instagram. I can also see their art larger. Instagram is so tiny, even on all of these other social media sites, like Facebook compresses it. Twitter is okay, but still not amazing, right? And this person says it's more of an immersive experience. I also enjoy seeing how artists design their website, the layout, how it's organized, color palette. It's like visiting someone's home. I love to see their personality come through. It makes the experience much more enjoyable while viewing their art. I can't tell you I love that so much.
That is such a beautiful thing for them to say. And I'm so impressed that they've found that. And for me as an artist, the curation of my own work and how it is explored and played with and enjoyed is very much a part of that process. One of my favourite ways of curating and keeping up to date with things is using an RSS feeder and actually following particular artists through their blogs and actually seeing their photographs come up and then going and checking them out when they tickle my fancy. And I know for me personally, the best way to actually follow me would be to be a part of my newsletter. And that's not a promotion, but because I write in it, and share photographs, that outward expression of putting out work actually follows my thinking on a daily basis or weekly or whenever it goes out. And I really love following that in other people as well. And that's allowing the artist to curate it. And I think you're really onto something. And people might say, having your own personal website today isn't as important as having a social media account. But I would agree with you saying that this is the place to really explore someone's heartfelt, beautiful work in the way that it's meant to be seen, and also what's important to the artist. So that's a beautiful comment, Brie. I can see why you feel so heartfelt for it.
Right. Like I mean, personally, I would rather see art in 3D, like live with my eyes, right? Which is why going to a gallery is so beautiful. Seeing the brush strokes and the sculptures in person. I mean, you can't replace that, right? But for me, the next best thing is actually going on someone's website and seeing their work presented in the way that they want to. And like I love actually subscribing to people's newsletters, and they'll send me when they like put out a new blog post, and I'll go out and read it. And then you can comment on those. But going back to social media, if you use social media as a place to discover people, right, and use that as a jumping off point to see the rest of their work, I think that's a beautiful way to do it. And because that's some of the ways that's one of the things that I do. I like going on people's profiles, seeing what they've done on their Instagram account. And then I have to think, I know this may or may not be their best work, because I don't know how everyone does. So and I'm just talking about Instagram, but like your feed with all of those photos, it may not be someone's best work. I know mine isn't. Well, I mean, I have some of my best things on there, right? Because those are fun to share too, right? How do you do that, Len?
I struggle with that in my own work because I have photos of my son and my cat. Not my cat, my dog, Momo. And
maybe she is a cat.
No, it's a he.
I'm just kidding. He. That's right.
But he's smaller than a cat, actually. And if I got a cat, he would be dwarfed. But they actually get more likes. But that's another whole story for what I would consider my good work. But I use it for that as well. When I find photographs that I really stand out for creativity and enjoyment, I follow them back to their page, and I scroll through and have a look. And sometimes I'll start commenting and loving, and very quickly I'll go to see if there's links to their website. And wander through there. And I've been using that as a way of finding content for Len's Journal for my limited edition magazine. So one image just sparks me, and then it leads me on into maybe a little bit stalkerish journey into finding out who this person is. And as an artist, that's what we want, isn't it? We want people to be interested, or maybe we don't want to, but by putting it out there, we're inviting people to do that. And I know that that's something I enjoy doing myself.
Speaking of being stalkerish, well, this isn't stalkerish of me, maybe, but I've done the same thing too. And recently I found at least I'm just talking this one particular photographer that I became newly acquainted with, and I I scrolled through, I mean, he has a lot of posts, but I scrolled through all of his work and then went on his website and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm in love. Like, and so this is where it gets tricky because I found myself kind of longing. Yeah, right? Like loving the work, but also secretly wishing that I had created it, right? And so, right? I know. But see, this is where we go. This is where my head goes, is when I find myself doing that, and then I'm like, oh, maybe my work, blah, is, I know.
I'm gasping and having a heart attack here because I know and I feel this, and this is my great fear and the problem that I have with social media is when I start comparing myself to other people's work and how much stress that causes me and anxiety and bad feelings. It's such a terrible thing, and yet there's these other moments of oh, that's so beautiful. And yes, I wish I created it, but you don't do the comparison with your own work, but you're able to separate it out and think, wow, isn't that person just so amazing? And congratulations. And if there's anything I could do to help push you along, well, not push you, but encourage you or help you on your journey, just reach out because I think you're going in just the most amazing way. And it's quite fascinating that our head holds those two head games together and it almost feels like it's random when it picks one of them as opposed to the other one.
I know. And so what I did though is I was like, okay, I found myself like thinking and feeling like kind of a little bit yucky after I had felt so amazing about finding his work. And then I had to remember and remind myself that he is a unique artist and also so am I. If I was in the exact same place with all the exact same equipment, I would have created something totally different than him. And that's what makes art subjective, but it also makes it really special. And that's what makes each of us unique is our vision. And so then I had to like step back and get out of my head and remind myself that it's okay. Like everybody has their own unique vision and I have one too. It's all fine. I can totally appreciate it. So that's my mental work. That's the mental work that a little bit that I did. So, but I don't make it a secret. I love social media. I mean, it has the word social in it. So.
And if there was a dance floor on there, you'd be on it, wouldn't you? Standing up there.
I bet maybe I do dance while I yeah, maybe I do dance while I look on social media. So one of our listeners actually said something really funny. This person said, "Oh gosh, I gotta find it. I have I created a whole sheet of this stuff."
Oh, there's so many wonderful comments there, isn't there?
I know. Oh, so I asked, "Why do you use social media?" And this person said, "I use social media because I would feel really weird and hermity if I just created photos and mostly kept them to myself." I feel like I have to put them out there for them to be complete. I think that's an interesting concept, right? That some of us just feel the need to share with people around us.
Do you think that's about finishing, completing sort of thing? Like when I do a print, there's a moment when I choose to sign it. And it's a definite moment in my mind where I say, this is finished to the point that I'm happy enough to put my name on it. And I wonder if there's actually an equivalence there with social media. When I post it, I'm willing to share where it's up to and actually say, hey, maybe it's not finished, but I would like to show you where I'm thinking about this right at this point. And putting it out into the world.
Can I guess? Are you saying I'm satisfied with this work? Like, this is my work and I'm really satisfied to show the world. Maybe I change it later, right?
Yeah,
maybe
of course
it's not
we can
quite
change it.
We can always change it. I think that's another aspect to social media is, looking at someone's feed. It might not be full, complete, maybe I've seen some people recently say, I re-edited this. It's not a big deal, right? I posted one today. I'm totally going to go and make it into a monochromatic image. I know you love that.
Oh yeah, it's my favorite.
I am full color. It's soft, but it's full color. And Len is also, there's some color in it, right? It's a sepia, right? That's your thing. Even if you look on YouTube, how we posted these on YouTube, that you can see Len. I am in full color and Len is not.
That's right. I'm more black and white. Well, actually, I'm not really at all black and white. But I wish there was a replace button in social media. And I say that in jest because there's so many times I've posted an artwork and then a week later I'm going, and then I do a tweak. And sometimes that tweak happens, 30 seconds after I do it for some strange reason. And then wouldn't it be nice to replace it with the latest version? But
yes.
You can't do that, so you do another one. And
at least on Instagram lovely. You can't. Right? On Instagram you can't. On Facebook you probably could get away with it. I posted one a few weeks ago that had a crooked horizon, and I was like, oh, that's like... But if no one noticed, don't go look through my feed. But if anyone noticed, they didn't say anything. How nice of people.
Crooked horizons have an incredibly long history in art, and it's quite a special thing. And they're used in movies to indicate to the viewer that things are a little bit unsettled. So,
but on purpose, right?
Oh, yeah. And I wish I could actually remember the title of what it's actually called, but the name's gone over the top of my head right at this very second. But anyway, I'll get back to you on that one, Brie. Intentional crooked horizons.
There's probably a Japanese word for it. I find, just this little side note, you and I chatted. I actually have been trying to keep track of some different languages and I just barely started, so like 3 things. And special things that other languages have to describe things that maybe the English language doesn't. And I find that really fascinating. So anyway, that's just a side note. Maybe another language has that a name for a crooked horizon, special name.
Oh, yeah, but
let us know.
It's called a Dutch angle.
Oh, it was the Dutch. Maybe the Dutch have a special name.
And it's a technique we use in filmmaking as well. But it's great fun because it upsets people.
Yeah, right.
Well,
right?
It makes us feel uncomfortable, a bit queasy, and sometimes we want to have that feeling in our art, don't we? Or it also adds movement, and that's another whole thing, that it drags the viewer's eye around the image by having an angle in there. But that's a whole different topic, so we should get back.
That's really interesting because, it just goes to show you that seeing an image, what you think it should look like, maybe was not intended by the artist. And so having those conversations, I'm finding that on social media, I'm really enjoying having the conversations. And a lot of people that messaged me, that responded to my questions, actually said they really enjoy the conversation. And it's called social media, right? Mm. And for me, it's not just the connection, but the conversations are what make the connection. And asking the questions, instead of maybe going out and criticizing, we ask the questions. We engage people in the conversation, which is why we encourage our listeners to also chat with each other. Like, I think this is a beautiful way that we can all make connections with each other. And we need that as people.
It's absolutely fascinating. An artwork, as an artist, we can't control what the viewer thinks about our artwork ever. And it's really ridiculous to think that we could. We can make suggestions. We'll have our own relationship with an artwork, but what it says and speaks to different people is going to be so unique to each particular viewer. And yet photography is really unique in this way because it presents itself as real, and the people looking at it skip the artist and just go to a sense of place and reality that we see in the image, and also often miss out on a bit of the artist in that process. But social media
possibly.
Social media is a great place to have this discussion as to what it actually does and says to me. I know as a learner, and particularly as a teacher, encouraging people to find out how their artwork works for other people is an incredibly important learning experience. And some of that is gaining beautiful feedback about how you're going, and feeling warm and fuzzy from people loving it, and then also understanding that what a singular artwork might do in one person might trigger something totally different in someone else, and actually bring back bad memories or feelings and stuff. And I think that's an incredibly fascinating thing to play with. And social media is great because it is about conversation, isn't it? As you said,
I hope so. Anyway,
about conversations,
right? And we hope so. Which is like, so here's one of the things that we wanted to talk about was the negative stuff about social media, and can we just talk about the likes, because that's kind of like an almost an anti-conversation. Okay, I'm guilty of this. I go on social media and I like, right? And then I do it, but I do engage. I make a concerted effort because I like it so much to do the engaging, but I also do the liking. But there's some point where the likes become when we see the like today I posted, right? And I actually said something really interesting, well, that's for you to decide. I thought it was interesting.
Brie, you always say interesting things. I'm going to pull you up on that one right away, right now.
Well, I thought it was interesting. You guys get to decide if it's interesting. What is it, November 30th? Go back to November 30th and see what you think. Of 2021. Maybe it's still there. But I'm watching the likes, and I have to remember and remind myself that the likes don't necessarily mean that that's what my art is worth. And so that's where we can have a problem and have some negative experiences with social media when we take the amount of likes, or maybe our followers. And for sure, we're talking about, Twitter, we have followers too. And there's likes there too. But when we take those numbers and we turn it into those numbers equal our value as an artist, that's really where we run into problems, isn't it? And that is all a mental game. Likes, come on, likes, numbers of likes do not mean anything, really. But we all think it does. And all of these social media sites tell us that it does, right? They've got something going. We're all conditioned, right, to believe, to kind of believe this. And so I personally think it's really important to step out of that and remember that likes are just a number. It doesn't change and mean anything about your value as an artist, whether or not your art is good, or anything like that. Is this a good time? Go ahead, Lynn.
It's a misplaced feedback is what you're suggesting here, that it's not a real metric that's valuable for us as an artist. Is that what you're pointing towards there?
Yeah, because I would rather have an artist that I really value their opinion, comment on my image and say something really meaningful about what it meant to them. That's important to me, right? And I've had a few of those where I'm like, oh, I got to save this one because that was really amazing for me to get that feedback from someone, right? But also the negative feedback too, and we briefly we touched on that too. But it's the likes, the like count. People like it. That's great. It just means they press the heart. That's all.
The function of the like button is actually to train the algorithm. And that's why it's important for the social media companies to have a like button, because through that feedback, and it's something that you don't have to do in person, because you can see someone smile or lean towards an artwork, and that conversation is so much easier to have. But in the electronic world, that like button has an incredibly important purpose for making money for the company. And for us as artists, I think that step of taking away likes on artworks and images was an incredibly good step, because it removed some of that worry about comparing yourselves to other people. And I think that comparison causes a lot of that negativity. And there's so much research on how bad for us social media can be, isn't there? And of course, there's the court cases going on when that social media companies have known this for a very long time, and yet they proceed to take our money from us and to make money and put finances and profits before people, which is a terrible, terrible, scary thing.
It is. And right now, like I even asked like what you would change, and some people, a few people talked about what they would do to make better, and at the end we can talk about what we would wish for social media. But there's not any real like good solutions right now. I even listened to a podcast that they were talking about it, and there really aren't a lot of good solutions, because we are the actual product that they use to advertise to, right? Mm-hmm. So that the more time that they can get our eyeballs on the screen, the better it is, right? The more money that they can make. So it's all about finding a little bit of a balance and figuring out, usually these are free, like Instagram is a free platform. You don't have to pay any money to be on it, right? And there are a lot of great things about it, but we get to decide how we want to use it. Can I talk briefly about maybe not so terribly briefly about while we're talking about some negative aspects of it? I'd like to share a client experience with comparison, if that's okay.
I think it's the perfect time, Brie.
Super. By the way, I wanted to share this experience I had with a client, and just so you know, I keep everything confidential in my coaching practice, and I would never share any very specifics about a client. Or even share their like gender or their name or anything about a person. But in this one in particular, I thought it was it's something that a lot of us deal with, and it's very pertinent to a lot of us. So I'm going to keep it. I will keep it non-specific, right? But this, I met with this client, and they mentioned in the start of our session, they mentioned that they were about to hop off Instagram and be done with it, and I was curious because I love being curious. So I got a little curious about why. And they said it was because whenever they went on there, they just saw amazing work, and they started feeling really terrible about their own work, meaning they were comparing their work to the work of someone else. And the thought in my work, what I do is I try and pull out the thinking that's going along with it, so we can really figure it out, what's happening in our minds. Here we go again, right? This is all about our brains. Just so you know, all of this about social media, it's all about our brains, how we want to use it, right? It's just a thing. It's just a site, an app. Doesn't really do anything, but it is all of our brains. So, okay, where was I? But the thinking is that my work isn't good enough. And like, why do we want to think that? Why do we want to get on social media and see someone's work that's amazing, that we think it's amazing, right? So this client was getting on there and then thinking that their work was not good enough.
Do we do that when we go into an art gallery?
Sure.
Do we? We go and look at other people's art in an art gallery and go, oh, my work isn't anywhere near as good as this. I'm no good.
Maybe there's a mindset that we go into an art gallery with that's different than social media.
So again, it's back to mindset, isn't it?
Oh, always.
Well, of course I know.
I mean, did I have to tell you?
I'm steering you off in this direction just to remind you. That's the point of the story, isn't it? It's about our mind.
Right. And so what we did, this is the amazing thing. This is the mindset changing stuff. Okay. So I asked this client, so we went through kind of a little model about what that all looked like and what was happening for this person when they were thinking their art wasn't good enough, how they were feeling, all the things that they're doing. They want to turn off Instagram. They're discounting their work, right? All of those things. And I asked them, like, what do you want from social media? Like, what do you want to have happen? And they said they want to be inspired. And I agree. Like, so they said they want to be inspired. So you know what we did? We did a whole thing on what this person wanted to be thinking. We figured it out, what they wanted to be thinking when they went on social media. And then I gave them an assignment to go on social media a whole bunch of times before our next session, right? So here's the thing. It's being really intentional with how we think. And so when this person, when they were going to feel inspired, they had a different way of thinking when they were going on social media. Just a thought to replace that like, my work isn't good enough. Like, I can enjoy, I don't remember what the thought was. I don't have my notes up, but it could be like, if I was doing it for me, and I have done this before, I have struggled with this exact same thing. And the reason I'm sharing this is because there's a lot of you shaking your heads. Yes, I have thought this exact same thing before too, right? My work isn't good enough because I'm looking at someone else's that I think is amazing. And it's super helpful to go and do these things intentionally and have some thoughts that will create positive feelings for us in an intentional way. Like, I am really inspired by this person's art. Who knows if and here's the thing, we get to decide how good our work is. That's the whole thing. No one else gets to decide the good. It's always us. And so if we decide our work is great, it's good now, I'm satisfied with it, it might be better in the future, and that's super amazing too, right? We all get to decide those things. So I just think being intentional with your thoughts going into social media, which is kind of intentional when you go, talking about being intentional when you go into like an art gallery. That's why I'm saying it might be a different mindset, a different thought, a different intention.
And the sense of place takes us to a different intention as well.
I think we can be slower. It's designed for a little bit of slow ingestion.
Yeah.
Versus the scroll and like.
And there's also those beautiful moments that you have on there where you can think to yourself, oh, I can do better than this too. And that can also be an uplifting thing.
And that's also subjective.
I was thinking as you were saying all that there's some really good things you can do to help make sure that artwork is inspiring to you. And thinking about how you would actually do it isn't the right thing. Analysing and working out why it speaks to you and what is it about the artwork that is giving you certain feelings, and analysing it. And, we talked before about, stealing and those sort of things. And what you would be a good thing to do might be is analyse perhaps it's the colour palette that's dragging you in. And so you can actually intentionally figure out what that colour palette is and then take that away as something that you might go and play with, or even to think about your own work in colour palette, or it might be in terms of composition, it might be the lines that the person's used. And like, oh, that's really exciting. I'm going to go and play with lines like that as well. So instead of just making a judgment that puts a wall up against ourselves where we start comparing. Uh, I think sitting with artworks that inspire you and studying them is an incredibly important way forward. And social media gives us a way to do that so readily, so accessible. It's in our pocket.
Right.
And we can pull out this amazing art gallery that we know is curated by robots. So we've got to actively work around that to make sure that we're actually finding the inspirations and not picking up the negative things. And I suppose a lot of that's about technique, isn't it? And also mindset.
And yes, and I was just thinking if we had like an action item that you could do to get yourself in this kind of place would be two things. One would be just to slow down. Maybe this is a good reminder to myself. It's just to slow down and for sure go on and like, but then slow down. When you see someone has a comment that might be interesting, just take the time to go check that out and read what they have to say. And so maybe slow down and enjoy, and also get really curious. I think when we're more curious, that will take away some of the judgment and like comparison, and just being curious about what the artist was thinking, or why they created it, or what's interesting to you. That will put you in a totally different space than all of those other negative things.
I've got a good point for myself on this one. I notice I use the phone and the social media as a filler for moments of space. And I would be much better off setting aside a period of time and intentionally sitting down and going, I wonder what inspirations I can find in there today, and then put it down and walk away from it. And instead of using it as this moment of entertainment to fill my mind with thoughts every moment of the day. And I think that's my own problem with it there.
I think that's many of us have that same problem. I like that you said that, Lynn, because I think you've told me too before that you sit and you have all of these books and you'll just sit and like take one in or take a part of one in. And that sounds like the same thing to me, right? Only it's with our phones. So everything seems a little bit faster because we can just scroll and like.
Yeah. Right? I have all my notifications on my phone turned off so that when I check up on my communications, it's an intentional moment of checking up on them, like checking my email, rather than, another one's just arrived and I get distracted with what it says and suddenly having to do something. It's something that I come to at a moment when I'm ready and I want to deal with it, and I sit down and I attend to my emails, and then I'll let them build up again, and then I'll do that same process at another time. And I think that's an incredibly valuable idea that can be brought across to social media as well, making it an intention. And as you said, putting your mindset into it. What am I actually doing it for, and what am I going to get out of it? And then how am I going to get out of it? And the social constructs are incredibly important to us today, and it allows us to meet people and to connect with similar ideas, values, interests from all over the world. Well, just look at us, Brie. Here we are, connected on opposite sides of the world.
I know, it's completely amazing, right?
It is. It's so exciting. So
one of the other things that we wrote down here was some of the problems that I wrote down. We talked about comparison. We talked about the likes, right? Letting others decide for us if our art is good or not. And another thing is thinking that we have to use it, right? Like one of our listeners commented, social media is a necessary evil. And so, and here we are saying all the, like, we're saying that there are negatives to it, but there are also many positives. And I would say, like, if that if that is how you want to look at social media, you totally can, that it's a necessary evil. But here's the thing, we all have the choice whether or not we want to use it. I mean, I've met photographers, I've met people that aren't even on social media, and I'm so confused about that. So how are they not on social media?
How did you meet them even?
I don't know. Maybe in person. Right?
Oh, wow. What was that like? Seems so long ago.
I'm in Texas, remember? Amazing, because it's in person. I like that. But I think sometimes it can feel like this like necessary evil. And whenever I hear that, I would just plead with you to remember you have all of the choices. You get to decide how you want to think about and use social media, right? Maybe the evil part is the algorithm. We don't love it, right? But
and the addiction.
Right, and the addiction. And I have to say one other thing that you were talking about, just the picking up the phone. I will sometimes use my phone to scroll through social media when I'm like avoiding doing something that like...
Do you avoid doing things, Brie?
Yes.
I'm going to put that on the list then. Things to watch out for.
Right. I'm avoiding stuff.
That's right. I'm going to make a note of that for our relationship.
Don't want to talk to Len. Scroll social media. I'm kidding. That would never happen. Or never happen. But so sometimes we can use it like that, and so we kind of feel like it's like then we kind of actually think it's bad because it's suckered us in, and now it's our own fault, right? It's not social media's fault that we've used it as a way to like totally procrastinate and avoid something. But like that's one of the reasons we're talking about this is like figure out why you want to use social media. Like why do you use it? Because we all have our reason that we go on the app or go online and get on Facebook, get on TikTok, whatever social media thing platform you're using, right? We all have our reasons why we're doing it. So why also, can I share mine? We can go, we have notes, but we can go in whatever order we want. I'm going to share mine. This is why I use mine. I want to meet, I wrote it down so I wouldn't get like crazy. To me, I want to meet and interact with new people and people that I like value their opinions. So I want that sense of community where we share. And I want to get inspired, just like my client. Like I totally want to be inspired. And I love that. I will go on specific accounts and like click on their website. I sometimes use it as a platform to jump off websites, right? And I just want to be inspired. What an amazing way to do that. And I also use it too to share my own work. Maybe I don't think it's like perfect. That's okay, right? But I like sharing my work and I like sharing my thoughts. And it's a way for me to express myself. So sorry if you can hear that that notification. It's a way for me to express myself out there to the world. So I really enjoy that. How about you, Lynn?
I like being in front of people, and I'm a bit of a show off, and maybe I shouldn't admit that, but of course I am. As an artist, there's so much I make work for myself. But I get such a kick out of showing people and having an interaction from it and feeling something from posting it and putting it out there. Much in the same way as having an exhibition. So a lot of my drive on social media is to share work, and it's funny because I don't share it enough, and am quite tentative about the work that I share on there instead of being brazen and consistent and regular. And that's something that I need to work on. But the biggest value for me is the communication and educational side of it, is that I can learn so much through the interactions from people that share some common ideas, some common interests, and find out what's inspiring them, who to look at. It's like this endless feed of inspiration. And,
I agree.
you know, the list of people that I've met through, and it's probably a bit bigger than just social media, but through the internet, through these new mediums, is incredibly large. And so many projects that I've worked on are actually all results from putting your work out there. And do you know, Brie, one of the interesting things, and I find this fascinating, this is very personal about me and my own work, that because I run a business, it becomes my marketing. So it would be remiss to say that I use, not to say, but I do use social media as a tool for marketing my business, which is teaching photography. So a fascinating thing happens is that your work attracts particular sorts of people. And so often I'm out on a tour and one of the clients will turn around and say, Len, you have the nicest people on your workshops. And I go, yeah, of course I do. And I've been reflecting on that. And it's not a bragging right, but my work is peaceful, creative and artistic. And it's not in your face, and it's not they're not $1 million marketing shots for a location, and they're not popular. But they appeal to people that are really fascinated in unique creative art, and they come and they're gentle people. And I've discovered over this time frame that it actually brings people that are interested and value my work into my life. And therefore, it just keeps increasing supporters, or whether you like to call it fans or whatever term that you would like, but people that actively help hold me up today to keep doing my work. So it's become this incredibly huge support network of people, and it's not the likes that matter, it's the friendships and the support that those friendships come back. And, you know, knowing that when someone whose work that you really, really value and their opinion that you value actually takes the time to comment on your work, I find that an incredibly lifting and motivating experience. And it drives me forward to take more. And one of my loves of digital photography is its speed, that I can be out and we can make work and you can put it up and it can be a very, very quick, amazing experience. And
super fun.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And, I think, yes, we should definitely concentrate more on the benefits and how to use it in a way that actually is helpful.
Yeah. And I agree. And I will say one other thing, though. If all of these things, if you just feel a little bit tired, because I can see how someone would get tired of social media, right? And if you just feel a little bit tired, take a break. Have you stepped away from social media for a bit?
I'm still off Facebook. I haven't gone back. And I'm so close to actually deleting my account, but I just
hear that,
I don't
Meta?
interact.
Just kidding.
Yeah,
Metaverse.
I've got sort of over the whole thing, and I spend more time on Instagram at the moment, and I really want to get into Twitter, and because of more of the conversational element there, and also because of the resharing and being able to actually share people's work much more easily, which is something I personally struggle with Instagram. And Brie, you probably have to teach me how to do it on there. I like showing
I'll teach you.
people's work that is inspiring to me. And that's actually the purpose of Lens Journal too, is to share beautiful, beautiful work and to support them in that.
That is a beautiful thing. This isn't even in our notes about social media, is the sharing aspect, that we can see someone's work and then be able to say, hey, look at this amazing, we can be cheerleaders for each other, right? Look at this amazing stuff.
It's a pay it forward process, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. Shoot, there was one other thing I was going to talk about, which is it's part of this taking a break, but like feeling like understanding how often that we want to make a post and why we want to do it. I've seen some people like apologize for like, because, oh, they're like, I've posted every single day for a month. I'm so sorry I missed a day.
Wow.
and folks, the truth is there's so much stuff on there. Like, we love you, but we didn't miss it. so that's the question that you have to answer for yourself. And that is one of the questions that I ask myself is, how often do I want to post? And I don't really make myself do it. I think I took off all last week. It was our Thanksgiving. This is coming out in February, by the way, of 2021. So it takes a while to come out. But like, I took off almost all last week and I didn't care. Like, who cares? I knew I wasn't going to post, and that's okay. Cause you know why? Cause I don't like, even if it was for business, like, I don't need that constant feedback. Right. And that constant, constant grab for like followers and likes. I mean, I get the algorithm, totally get it. Right. So this is just for me, what I do. If you want to post every single day and you love it, totally do that. Right. So this goes back to our brains. Like, why do we want to do it? How often? How do we want to use it? How often do we want to post? All of those things. Thoughts on that, Lynn?
I think one of the great summaries for today is a great intention with social media is to use it for your benefit. And one of the benefits is interaction with other people. So rather than lurking and not interacting, but actually joining in and starting new conversations and seeing where they take you. And there's so many testimonies of where, what wonderful things that they have done for so many people. On a good note, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So I will leave us with this quote from Gaital from his new book. It's called Another Day Not Wasted. Love that title. He actually has a little essay about social media, and he says in this one, consider carefully what part of your art is about you as an individual, and be sure to protect that part from whatever social aspects of photography, he's a photographer, you partake in. Insert whatever art you do. Okay. It may be tempting to spend your time discussing or arguing various aspects of photography online, but be sure to set regular checkpoints for yourself, to stop every so often, even in the midst of a heated debate, and ask yourself, is this helping me grow as a photographer, as an artist, as a person? I love that question. How is that helping you grow? I also have some other questions that I ask myself on a rather frequent basis because of all this talk about social media being negative. I've put some little checks for my own self in. So I ask myself some of these questions. What is my purpose in sharing today? What am I going to think when people like or comment on my post? And do I still like doing it?
They're fantastic questions. I think you should pop them in the show notes, Brie.
I will.
If you don't mind, because I think they're worth reflecting on and actually holding in our mind as we, question the validity and the value of things that use up our time. And as Guy says, we don't want to waste another day in doing so. And asking such good questions is such an important thing to do.
Beautiful. Let's end there. Len, thank you for such another really lovely conversation about social media. How can we have a lovely conversation about social media? I think we just did. I have really always come away from these feeling really inspired. I have a lot of energy when I'm done, and it's It's just a beautiful thing. So we have a question for you. How do you use social media? And how could you use it in an intentional way? We'd love for you to answer that. Ask a friend, message a friend and talk about it. Like we'd love for you to have these discussions. Message us. So we invite you to do that and have the conversations with other people and also with us, right? You can email us. I said before, it's create@acreativeaffairpodcast.com. We welcome the conversation. Like really, we'd love to have that with you. We love exploring creativity with each other and with all of you. So I talked a lot today about some clients and about some mind work. I just love being a life coach for creatives. I absolutely love it. And I have a program. It's a 10-week program. It's called Dream It, Do It. I love it. In this program, I help creatives identify and overcome obstacles to becoming happier artists, grow more satisfied with their work, and live the creative lives of their dreams. Could be in business, could be your work in general, whatever creative life that you dream of. We can create that. So you can go to my website, www.creativemindscoach.com. You can sign up for a free discovery call. It's free. Come on and chat with me about what you've been dreaming of. Let's go. Let's make it happen.
Oh, beautiful. I feel I'm growing in our podcast, and that's such a beautiful thing. And I love our conversation so much, and it's so wonderful that it's getting out to people, and we're getting such wonderful responses from everyone. I know I'd be signing up for a free call. We'll have to. Actually, I get my own little private one each time we start, don't I, Brie? But
yes, you do. 100%.
Well. Yeah. Well, without the internet, social media, and these new amazing mediums, Brie and I wouldn't have met, and this podcast wouldn't be here. So I think we live in a mind-blowing time, and all sorts of amazing things, good and bad, are going on around the world. And having you, Brie, in my life is so wonderful. I just love the time.
I just blew him a little creative affair kiss.
I know, and I felt that, and I love our affair. And we have such a wonderful time preparing these, and then recording them is so much fun. And it's great to have a new friend. And I think that's one of the special things about social media is making these special friends. Special friends. I've been teaching a lot on the internet over the last 2 years. I was lucky enough to have been working on an e-school pre-COVID and was able to launch my distance school during the early days of lockdown. I have loved being able to connect and teach and mentor people from throughout the whole world. In the process, I've collected a huge mass of video recordings of teaching about photography. Over 100 hours, mainly on creativity, on creative composition and being an artist. And you can find those and my online courses and the ones where we meet in person at lensschool.com. And there's 2 S's in the middle because it's my school, Lens School. I changed my name. I was Leonard. Everyone called me Len, but I decided that Len's School was better than Leonard's School. So I'm very fortuitous to be a Len. Anyway, as always, links to everything are in the show notes, or you can visit us at creativeaffairpodcast.com. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe or follow us on your favourite podcast app. I use the Apple one, and I listen to us on the Apple one when it comes up. And you can follow us and communicate with us on Instagram as well. On there we are a Creative Affair _podcast. Well, Brie, until next time, have fun with your gorgeous photography, your beautiful art, and all your various creative passions that inspire us all. I wish you well. And for now, it's time to say goodbye.
Goodbye, Len. Goodbye, everyone.